Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's so good.
So you had.
Look at the size of that thing. Cut the channel, Red, too.
You are in the perfect show where basically you could die and come back. You could be a bad guy in one episode and come back as a good guy next season.
Yep.
What is that like as an actor?
It's, I mean, you know, that's a classic objection. Leading question, Your Honor. That's a question. That's a classic leading question because look, it's tremendous. You know, most of the time, if you're fortunate enough to be on a long-running show, and this Flash seems to be that at this point, you know, one of the few things that you have to protect yourself against is repetition. You know.
A little louder. They're translating.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, can you hear me now? I said one of the dangers of a long-running show is repetition, because the temptation is, oh, this was successful, so let's just repeat it. One of the things that I love specifically about my character, but generally about the show, is that we don't really sit back. We're not afraid to break a few eggs. We're not afraid to sally forth. Not all these ventures are going to be successful, but we're not afraid to try them. We've got decades of mythology we're mining from, and we're going forth. Right now we're doing Flashpoint, you know, and my character is a perfect example of what we do. Is like the idea that, you know, I played a nice guy who on season 1 who was actually the worst guy ever, and it worked. I think the temptation would be, well, let's just do that again and again and again, and then we're like, instead, I flipped it on its tail, and it became like seemed like an abrasive, malcontent bitch, and then with no social graces, who was actually, even though he seemed like a bad guy, was actually a very good guy when push came to shove.
And that was the interesting thing about your journey, because season 1, I always thought you were shady and you were going to be a bad guy.
Shady, I like that. I'm happy to be shady.
But in season 2, it was complete reverse, where we thought you were going to be shady and you ended up in a good place.
Yeah, that's a nice thing about playing these characters. There's a number of different levels and different things that they're trying to do and trying to get, which colors how they perceive. And I think it's better than just seeming like, well, that's what he is. You know, that we have like I have an art to the guys that I'm playing, and you might not necessarily know what that outcome is going to be and what that end game is going to be. That's any actor will tell you, to play something on a number of different levels like that is a boon and a privilege, and that's been my experience on this show.
Well, what level are you going to be playing Harrison Wells this season?
I've decided this year to make him handsome. I'm tired of all the other stuff, and so this year, that's a nice little secret that I am going to unveil as the season progresses, and not tell you right now because that would spoil everything for everybody.
So you got to play a couple different versions of Harrison Wells.
It's interesting, you know, like my starting point is always the Reverse Flash, and the Harrison Wells in season 1 that you know the Reverse Flash, right? I don't have to explain. The Harrison Wells that covered for him was never Harrison Wells. He was actually Eobard Thawne, and what's interesting is that Harrison Wells, the only real Harrison Wells that's germane to the story was only seen in episode 17 in the first season, really very briefly on the beach with, you know, his wife Tess. And last year was this guy who, you know, basically was Harrison Wells on a different planet and left it all behind to like grab a pulse laser and go find his daughter. She was kind of like this dude on a quest, you know, and so you didn't really see him as, you know, Harrison Wells, the scientist. So I liked I think our show, we have an overall conflict and an overall antagonist generally every season, but I think our show works best with a daily conflict, and that was one of the things that the guy I was playing last year, by virtue of his, you know, lack of social graces and abrasiveness, was able to provide to our show, and adds an element, like, because, you know, Caitlin Snow is so winning, Cisco is so winning, Grant, you know, Barry is so winning, Joe is tremendous. They're all tremendous, and having a guy that wasn't, you know, that was like I say, a bitch, was a nice little element, and that was a very fun thing to play. I think it added to the show because of it.
You also get to, it's interesting to watch the relationship with Barry has to be rebuilt every season in a sense.
Right, which is great. Yeah. Again, that's a nice thing, because if you jumped on board a season, you'd be like, okay, we'll establish this in the first 4 episodes, episodes, and then that will be it. And what's nice is we do it, and then we have to break it up and do it again, and then break it up and do it again. And then the added element to it is because he's seen this same face, he's like, who are you really though? Like, because I don't know what to do and what to trust, and so it's not just a one-way street. The emotions that he's going through when he's dealing with me add into it, you know, and the audience as well. So yeah, it's one of the favorite things he and I get to do, and then I get to do it is reestablishing relationships with all these different people. Yeah.
Speaking of relationships, are you and Cisco going to have more scenes together? Because that relationship was so much fun to see develop over season 2. I'm wondering, are we going to get to see more of that in season 3?
I think they'd be dumber than a bag of wet mice to not put the two of us together in a room. You know what I mean? Like so much of that is improv and just the way our mindsets work together, and part of that is, we're that way off camera too. We're like, they yell cut, and Carlos and I don't leave set. We hang out and joke, or we hang out and sing, or we hang out and like harmonize. And he's I will say this because this is for the record. He's a colossal talent, like the kind of talent, like in the way people speak of Lin-Manuel right now, those kind of things where he has got such an incredible ability on so many levels. He's I think that guy Carlos Valdez is one of a kind. He's incredible, and so our relationship off camera, I think something ephemeral translates to the screen when we do stuff on camera, and so yeah, I'd be extremely motivated to make sure that there's still some kind of relationship between those two characters.
And do you think it's a little too soon to do Flashpoint? That seems more like a season 4 break glass.
No, that's one of the great things about our show, because yes, it does seem like that, and I think most shows should be like, let's wait and do this big thing. And one of the things we do is like, let's go do it. You know what? Let's just walk through that door. And it doesn't mean you can't do different iterations or larger iterations of Flashpoint down the line, because we can do anything. We can do time travel. We can do anything on this show. And what I like about it is introducing Grodd early on in season 1. Captain Cold comes out so quick. At first you might be, hey, are we worried at all about story? But Greg Berlanti, verbatim quote, there's always more story, and we're unafraid to reach for that story and go through and do it.
And I suppose now that you mention it, Flashpoint is the elephant in the room, because I'm sure everyone is always like, when are you going to do Flashpoint?
You want to get into it. Yeah, that's exactly right.
So you had mentioned improv. So do the writers and the producers and things allow you to get input and say, hey, maybe this feels a little wrong for my character? Do they allow you to put some input in there?
Yeah, for example, Harrison Wells' negativity, that came from me last year. That was this would be, to make him antagonistic. The very first time I showed up, the cast didn't know what I was going to do. And I ended up calling Cisco Crisco and Dr. Snow, and that was a whole different element, which they welcomed and then built. Hey, hold on. This is. Gosh darn it! No, I know it.
Tammy, come on.
This is guys. This is Garvin Cranston.
Thank you, sir.
Brian
Thank you for the introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Cranston from The Walking Dead. Yeah, you're gentlemen too.
Yes. Goodbye. New table for you. New table for you. Are you?
Awesome. Hey Brent, this is not exactly a Flash question, but I want to start with it.
Cool.
Given the fact that you are such a Superman fan, your feelings about Superman becoming a part of this universe, I just had to know.
I'm really excited. Really excited. But I have disappointing news too, that they haven't told me. They haven't said if I'm allowed to say this or not, but it's kind of a reverse scoop. So we're not going to get to be on camera together. I know that much. Superman in Flashpoint. Like, I won't be in a scene with him.
Not even with the crossover?
Apparently, well, I don't know, but we're in the early part of the season, his first like few episodes that he's doing, I won't be in a scene with him because they're going to be establishing a Supergirl Superman relationship, but I'm just excited that he's on.
You'll be hanging around the set.
Yeah, I met Tyler yesterday actually, and he's a really nice guy. He's perfect for Superman. So yeah, I'm really excited.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts on Barry's decision? Changing the timeline?
Yeah, pretty selfish decision. Obviously, I think he's a little blind to that when he makes it. I think the reason he makes it is sitting on that porch. They've just defeated Zoom. Everything is essentially how it should be, and then Iris says to Barry like what he's always wanted to hear, and he still feels empty. And I think it's not until that exact moment that he decides I need to change this. This isn't how things should be. And when we see him in Flashpoint, some time has passed. He's been in this timeline for a while now, and he's loving it. And he's kind of taking a back seat. There's another speedster, Kid Flash, who is the Flash in this timeline, and Barry's okay with that. And he kind of like takes the year off, and just has absolute gratitude for the fact that both of his parents are alive and well in front of him, because he knows still what the other timeline was. So he's just kind of enjoying this new life that he has.
So after all the build-up, you walk away from Iris.
Yeah.
Do you think Barry, the guy who plays Cisco said that he hopes in the next season, make impulse decisions. Do you see the Flash as being an impulsive character?
Yeah. Oh, he is. Yeah. Barry obviously wears his heart on his sleeve and is stubborn and is impulsive. He's not by any means a perfect character. He's a likable person, but all those things are true about him. He's impulsive and stubborn.
In this season, Kevin Smith directed an episode. Are there any other geek directors you would love to direct an episode of The Flash?
Yeah, actually, I met Joss Whedon last night. And that'd be really cool. Yeah, he was a really nice guy, and he loves the show. He's seen every episode of the show. Yeah.
Have you been thinking about? Oh no, go ahead.
What you were saying before about Barry with being impulsive and that sort of thing. This is the one thing I scream at the TV, and like my wife looks at me like I'm insane. Why are you yelling at a television?
Yeah.
It seems like every time somebody every time they tell Barry not to do something, he insists on doing it, and it goes wrong every single time.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
You're right to a certain degree, but I think also, he does he listens to Team Flash. There's been this, he'd be dead right now if it wasn't for Team Flash. So I think he knows that. But yeah, I think when it's come to some big decisions, he's been pretty stubborn. But I think he has learned a lot of stuff along the way, and he will definitely learn a lot from this decision that he's made. He'll actually get some time travel advice from and messing with the timeline advice from another speedster. I'll let you kind of guess who that is. But yeah, he's gonna learn plenty moving forward this year.
Is there a ripple effect? I mean, because everything's changed on this show.
Yeah.
What's the ripple effect?
The other shows are being affected. I only know what the change is on Arrow, but I know exactly. I can't say, but I don't know how the other shows are being affected. But apparently, every show is slightly affected.
You were talking. I was wondering.
I'm sorry, I've got to grab Grant now.
Wait, he wants to ask a question.
My question is, how will your character evolve over the next season? I mean, you talked about time travel advice. Can you expand a little more about that?
Just how it'll evolve from Flashpoint?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know exactly how the whole season is, how Barry will evolve this season, but what happens in Flashpoint, what he sees in Flashpoint, what his whole family perspective is in Flashpoint will influence the arc for the rest of the season.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.